Going to go live so that everybody in the chat stops talking about the weather. And this is all our fault. Blame me. We'll talk about it at the top of the show. Hey, what is up, you beautiful people? This is Gary Horne, and this is the NWA. It's the show celebrating the past, present, future, history, legacy, and tradition of the greatest wrestling entity of all time. Of course, we're talking about the National Wrestling Alliance. And thank God for me and you, I am joined today by my two best of friends, Wil Martin. Hey, Wil.
Good evening. Good evening. What a great episode of EmPowerrred. Sorry? Is there a child?
Oh. There's a birthday girl.
That's the birthday
wandering
girl.
around me.
I was like,
Happy
who's
birthday,
saying hey?
Petra.
That's like a different voice.
Yeah, she's interested tonight.
Tell
the NWA fam how old you are. How old are you today?
3. Oh my
3.
God.
So that means you can pee on the potty now.
Yeah.
Sweet girl.
Hey,
Yes.
Petra, teach daddy. Teach daddy.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm going to
Well,
learn
they
to do
say
that
girls,
next year.
girls learn quicker than boys do, okay?
No, that's true.
I honestly wet the bed till I was like 13 years old.
Well,
I was
we're
about to
live.
say, and I've stayed.
Wait, we're live already?
We're live. That's the doc, Rob Stinson. Hey, Doc. I've stayed with Doc, by the way, Petra. And Doc, oddly enough, also pees on the potty. So it's not exactly how it's supposed to work, but he does do that.
It takes time for us to perfect that craft, and we still, guys, you all know, we still mess that up, man.
You get a couple whiskeys in you, your aim gets off. It happens, man. This is quality programming.
This is it. This is what we're here for. We're a little late today, and the stream took a minute to actually get one built. Everybody's like, we're all coming down off of Oak Grove, Kentucky, which was a big night. You're going to see more of that over the next 2 weeks. Of course, obviously, you've seen the news of a big, unfortunate incident involving Trevor Murdoch during the autograph signing at the end of the show. And then I also, I was late here today. I had a family emergency, so I apologize. Put all that blame on me. We want to thank everybody that is still here. So I see you, certified hustler, still certified in Oak Grove, Kentucky. My boy, James Lars is in the house. Front row, Willie Bowen, John Gott, Naughty, Kevin, Eric Dale. I see you guys. Thanks so much for being here. Sandoval's even here. Sandoval saw Sandoval at Oak Grove, Kentucky. You can't escape Sandoval. So
yeah, I missed you, Sandoval. I saw you around, but I didn't get a chance. It was a busy night, but it was good to at least see you across the room. Yeah.
I was at the door when Sandoval and Polka Dot Pam was probably about 5 minutes behind him, but man, when they walked in, the seas just parted. Now they're like, now the show can begin.
It's like now an NWA show can start because the OGs are here. So it just and you watch all the stuff at the Chase and even tonight, and just seeing Sandoval there, it's like he's like that pillar. You know, you're like, I'm watching some good NWA television right now.
Yeah, it's like it's necessary to have a Sandoval and a Polka Dot Pam in the crowd, and probably pretty soon, if he keeps acting out the way he does, certified hustler in the crowd too. You're like, where's certified? Where's he at? He's nobody standing on the chair swinging things in the air,
yelling for tables.
Oh man, well tonight was a big episode of NWA EmPowerrr. an EmPowerrred power, I think. And so a big deal. A lot of stuff going on, and a lot of stuff happened that is going to dictate the future of the National Wrestling Alliance. So plenty to talk about here this evening, and we can run through that show. I mentioned, though, I guess at the top of the show, some of you may be wondering, obviously there was an attack on Trevor Murdoch at Oak Grove, Kentucky. I'm hearing that the champ's okay. He's recovering right now. He's got a little time to do that. And it was confirmed that Mike Knox was the man who jumped the rail and ran into the cage, locked himself in there with Trevor Murdoch, and gave him a pretty vicious beatdown. So I don't have more information than that, except to tell you that we were told they will be updating us as more information comes available on NWA Powerrr. So you'll be seeing that soon, hopefully. But anyway, want to send our well wishes to the champ, Trevor. Hope you're feeling okay. That looked vicious, and we want to see you back soon, sir.
Yep. Yeah, it's one thing to get jumped when you're, in a match and somebody jumps you from behind unexpected, but Trevor's in there taking pictures with fans, and Mike Knox jumps the rail, hops in, locks the door, and just goes to town on the champ. And you gotta, we haven't heard anything official, but you gotta assume, you become the world champ and you got a target on your back. Somebody comes after you, it's for one reason, and it's because he wants that title. So we'll see where this is headed. But as somebody that was in the room when that was going on, if you saw the videos on NWA social media that they posted that have been out in the news and stuff like that, the show had ended. Trevor Murdoch was spending time with fans in the ring, and everyone was kind of just loosey-goosey hanging out and filing out of the room. And suddenly it broke out in the ring. It was really unexpected. So it was a wild moment, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, it's hard for me to swallow that. And I know we'll talk more about this in the coming weeks, but I just have to say this. One, as a father and as a human being, where I stand on Trevor Murdoch and all that, but I just can't endorse that. To me, that's not sportsmanship. If you want a shot at the most prestigious trophy in the game, then there's a process that you go. You don't just get to wake up one day and decide, hey, I'm going to insert myself in the picture by going in and beating a man half to death with 12, 13, 14 chair shots and this and that. So I can't say how much that this really bothered me. I've been thinking about this for the last couple of days, trying to process this.
Well, we're used to going to shows, and we're blessed enough that the NWA allows us to be there, and we get to be a part of the action, like see things up close and personal. And we're grateful for that opportunity. You guys helped make that happen for us, and so we're grateful to the fans too, and the hashtag NWA fam. And part of that is you get to have a little one-on-one sometimes with the folks involved in the show, and you're used to at the end of the show, there's a lot of not to peek behind the curtain too much, but generally there's a lot of love passed around, with certain people. Some people have different attitudes than others, but generally, like a guy like Trevor Murdoch is definitely one that we're used to seeing after a show who's very earnest and telling us, great job. Hope you guys got some good stuff. Like whatever. Can't wait to see the post shows. That kind of stuff. You give a hug, see you next time, champ, all of that stuff. And we missed all of that this time because it was legit after the show. This wasn't part of the show. This was Trevor Murdoch was in the steel cage and taking photos. Mr. Corgan, President Corgan, had decided to give fans a little bit something extra. So I think right before that, there was a small child in the ring taking a photo with Trevor Murdoch in the steel cage. And
and I don't know if it comes through on the cell phone videos that got posted, because they don't have pro video of it, because like I said, it was after the show. But Trevor's son was standing right outside the door of the gate, trying to pull it open, trying to get some guys out there, and eventually Tim Storm and a bunch of guys came out from the locker room and tried to get the door open. But you talk about fatherhood, Rob, that was one of those things that's burned in my mind, is his son, pleading, somebody get in there, somebody help my dad. It was brutal.
And let me say, I know we haven't jumped to the chat yet. We usually do that later, but to address Noni McPony's comment there about I was okay with the beatdown Latimer gave Aldis. I was not okay with that. You guys heard me on here. I've got issues with Aldis's conduct right now. And I know we've got some stuff to talk about right now that doesn't pertain to the men, but since we're on this, I don't want anybody to get hurt. That's not the issue. But what we had right now is someone who is not in the championship title picture coming in and trying to make a statement or something. And I don't know what's going on, but I don't support those kinds of things. As a matter of fact, when you get someone like Tom Latimer and Nick Aldis, those jokers they're close, man. I promise you, this is not the first time those guys have gotten to fights or this. That's brothers do that. Brothers fight. My brother put a scar on my head right here. It happens. Okay, so I'm not endorsing the level of intensity, or I don't want anybody to get hurt. So don't mistake this. Don't conflate the two. Like what Trevor and Tom did is not the same thing as what happened between Mike Knox and Trevor Murdoch. This is apples and oranges. And I support the NWA because there are gentlemen's rules. It happens in the ring. It's focused on the championship. And I can't get behind this as a father.
Yeah.
I can't.
And like I said earlier, and I will vouch for Rob on this. I mean, we don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but you know, Rob's been pretty clear, despite where his allegiances lie, that stuff like that isn't truly respectable. But again, this was a totally different scenario. The event was over. People had, half of the room had left already, going to the parking lot, and cameras were not rolling. And this was a time, Trevor's not in the ring on guard like a guy in the middle of a match or after a match. He had wrestled his match for the night, and he was out there hanging out with the fans, and that's a totally different scenario. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is all cell phone footage that we're seeing here. This isn't like they got the camera and it said this is cell phone footage. We don't have there's no recording of this other than what happened on fans' cell phones. And to me, it was just tasteless. I mean, it's not. I don't.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons this is a totally different scenario. So I'm on board with that. Hopefully they left the cameras rolling somewhere so we can find some footage. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that. But all we've been able to find so far are the cell phone footage from fans. And so that's the thing you guys mentioned. I mean, this is after the show. This is not part of the regular show. This is not what is supposed to air on Powerrr over the next 2 weeks. This is strictly a different thing. And I mean, there's a lot of reasons to take that. Besides a man getting hurt, I mean, this was a time with fans. We were having, he was trying to give an experience to like I said, the hashtag NWA fam. There was a kid in the ring, like right before this.
Literally right there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, this Mike Knox, who for all we know right now, probably bought a ticket, or I'm not sure exactly the situation.
I don't know. I feel like I would have seen him in the room, but I could have missed him. I mean, I don't know.
It looks like on that footage that you see him kind of like walking through the crowd. I don't know where he came from, but you see him because I was kind of studying this afterwards, and he's smiling, whatever, and then he just steadily moves up there, and it's just. This is not how we do business in the NWA. Okay.
I think if you watch that video, he walks right beside Gary because Gary's in the frame. Gary's out there hanging out, and he walks. Right. Gary, you could have stopped this, Gary.
Yeah,
you could have just stopped it.
Okay, there it is. I don't know. Okay,
conspiracy.
Right. I don't know if you've seen Mike Knox in person, but we may look similar in the face, but that's about where it ends. Mike Knox is a very, very big boy. And but I will say this too, this is completely unacceptable. But the guy, he didn't even. It wasn't as though he was just like shoving fans around either. He was completely. You wouldn't have known until it was too late. So even for like security, like the guy, this was after the show. Everybody was already milling about and like moving towards the exits or moving.
Tables were being broken down. You got people cleaning up stuff. I mean, it's not. I read the comments on the social medias. The people who think they know, like, oh yeah, blah blah blah, whatever. I read it. No, it's not like that. This show had concluded. People were leaving. The operations were shut down. People were unplugging cords. Sandoval was there. He can tell you. Their certified hustler was there.
Sandoval be stirring up stuff though. He's like in the chat saying he saw him get out of Gary's car. Let me tell you something. Will and I rented a newer Malibu,
a nice Chevy Malibu,
and I barely could get
Gary
in.
Couldn't even get out of that.
So you ain't see him get out of my car.
I would pay to see Mike Knox try to get in the little car.
It was tiny. I was like, if Gary can't get in and out, Mike Knox.
Do we have a word on the condition of Trevor Murdoch? Has anybody spoken to him? I'm listening to Trevor. I'm gonna tell you this, man. You know I respect you as a competitor, as the real true world's champion right now. And I'm sorry that happened, and sincerely, I hope that you're okay. It looked ugly. Everybody's scared. We couldn't even sleep that night, man. We were up till 4 or 5 a.m. that night talking about that. And I hope you're doing well, you know. And I hate that happened. I really do.
Well, there's a lot that's going to be there's a lot that's going to have to be answered for here because we don't have like an official word yet on Trevor Murdoch. Just when I asked around, I was told he's recovering, no long-term injuries, nothing like that, but he's not happy, obviously, and the biggest part of it for him is more so than his physical feelings right now or his pride are going to be his son, who was tossed out of the way by Mike Knox when he and this is a guy who, you know, Trevor's son's a sophomore in high school. I mean, this is not
10th grader in high school. 10th grader in high school. I mean, where is your decency and humanity at?
Exactly. So Mike Knox barges in there and tosses him out of the way. I guarantee you, Trevor Murdoch's going to have something to say soon. And Mike Knox are not through.
I can tell you, and Rob will agree with this too. You know, there was a level of viciousness and rivalry going on for the past year between Nick Aldis and Trevor Murdoch, but Nick Aldis never put a hand on Trevor's kid. And vice versa. Trevor never, did anything like that. This is a whole nother level of anger that I think we're going to see from the champ wherever this lands, however this unfolds. I do not see somebody like Trevor Murdoch just sloughing that off and saying, okay, let's go our separate ways. He's the kind of guy that's going to need to finish this. So that's where I'm coming from, in terms of thinking, how is this going to play out? It's one thing to come attack me. It's another thing to do anything, harming my children. And so that's a whole nother level of despicableness, if that's a word, to this whole situation.
Yeah, it's disgusting when you involve someone's family who has nothing to do with the wrestling business. I mean, these things in the ring, we all love it and expect it that things get out of hand sometimes in professional wrestling. That's part of the process. That's the way it's always been. But when you just bring somebody's underage child into the ring and just attack them, that's a different thing. For what it's worth, he also threw the Ultimate Pusher Tyreek, who happened to be at ringside, and obviously for Trevor, his biggest focus is going to be on his son, and there is the fact that a lot of us have wanted to throw the Ultimate Pusher Tyreek, but I'm sorry, I couldn't
I'll
help
go to
it.
bat for Tyreek. I got your back, Tyreek. If I had seen that, I would have stopped him.
Will would have jumped in the way of Mike Knox.
Yeah, but I had to go to the bathroom because the show was over.
Anyway, yeah, he was very unassuming, jumped the rail, and then it was on immediately, threw people out of the way, got in the ring, and nobody could get to him. It's easy to later on sit here and judge this thing, but one thing's for sure. I mean, this is not a mistake that'll happen twice. I'm sure William Patrick Corgan's already discussing and figuring out litigation and that sort of thing for this scenario and seeing what's on the table here. I can imagine, though, as I think we all can, a guy like Trevor Murdoch is thinking something more physical for retribution in this kind of scenario. All right, so we've been talking about all of that. That's as far as we've gotten with an update with Trevor Murdoch and the Mike Knox situation. So I know everybody's been asking about that. We do want to jump into this episode of NWA EmPowerrr, though, or EmPowerrred Power. and talk about it a little bit, because as much as we're talking about the men right now, more on that is going to come out along the way. Tonight was a special night for the ladies with the success of NWA EmPowerrr. That was a huge deal, trending worldwide, like just a total success for William Patrick Corgan and Mickie James, just putting this thing on. They decided they wanted to bring it back, and maybe, hopefully, depending on the success of this, I'd love to see it be like a regular feature on NWA. It'd be kind of fun just to have like a night of women's wrestling.
I was going to say, it's almost necessary. The level of women's talent on the NWA roster, it's almost necessary to give them at least every season of Powerrr, like 1 or 2 episodes to really, not only showcase that, but to work stuff out. There's so many things going on. We saw that tonight on this episode. There's, bad blood between a lot of these ladies that they're trying to iron out, and they really needed a whole episode to get it out there. So it was a great episode.
Yeah, you're talking about the probably the most vibrant women's division in wrestling right now. I mean, you want to talk about what the NWA has going for it. You've got the focuses where the foci where they should be on championships, on prize fighting.
You can say that on YouTube.
you've got the grandest tag team division that keeps growing and keeps impressing, and then you've got what has to be considered the most vibrant women's division in the world right now. And so I agree with you, Will. They really needed this. They stole the show of the chase. I mean, 73 was great. It was phenomenal. But I think any of us who were there were like, man, there was something emotional, something electric about EmPowerrr that I've never really felt before. I mean, it was something special. And I remember being, wrap it up afterwards, trying to get some discussions with some of the talent that were there, some of the athletes. And I remember hearing Pat Kenny in the distance talking about how they brought it and how the men have to show up the next day if they have any chance to even overtake what the women had done. So this has been a long time coming. I think this is very forward looking for the NWA, and they needed this. So great episode of Powerrr tonight.
Well said, Doc. And I mean, if you look at the NWA women's division, I mean, the other part of it is that there's Will mentioned all the great talents that are there as well, but also these talents come in from all over the place, and it's a fluctuating division. It's good to see just people be able to come in, and they know that the NWA is where they can showcase their skill and get the best competition. So an example of that would be the opening matchup tonight. You had the opportunity to see Kylie Rae take on Chelsea Green and Melina. Melina, a legend in this business. Chelsea Green, a woman. I mean, if you don't know who Chelsea Green is now, you're living under a rock as far as professional wrestling goes, because Chelsea Green is showing up on Impact, Ring of Honor, WWE, NWA. Like, Chelsea Green has been everywhere and recently. So Chelsea Green is out there doing things. I think she was just recently on like CZW and stuff like that. So Chelsea Green is just like one of the hottest acts in professional wrestling right now, let alone women's acts. So and then, of course, you had Kylie Rae, who's been going through some things here recently. We want to send our love to Kylie Rae, by the way. But here she is also competing in this matchup. And just a fantastic triple threat to determine the #1 contender for the NWA Women's World Championship. The Burke, who's going to be the next person to step up and try to achieve what we would consider the ultimate goal in women's professional wrestling, the title, the lineal title, coming down from Mildred Burke, who got a lot of love on this show too, by the way. Love that. But anyway, this triple threat was a fantastic matchup, just back and forth throughout, and Melina able to sneak in. It was a matter of just experience in this one. I think Chelsea Green got caught by Melina just later on in the matchup and got the 1, 2, 3, and Melina is advancing to take on. Well, we'll see. We'll see after Oak Grove, Kentucky, Kamille, Kenzie Page, somebody like that, for the NWA Women's World Championship. What do you guys think about this one? Will, I'll throw to you first.
Yeah, this was great. And I think you hit the nail on the head. When it comes to a triple threat like this, the experience is definitely an asset for somebody like Melina, because when you have the experience that she does, you've got that ring awareness. You understand, you have the ability to see where your two competitors, your two opponents are. And that's something that, I'm sure Kylie Rae has that. I'm sure Chelsea Green has that. But Melina has been around enough to know what that's like, and she's been in enough matches like this. And I think you're right, that experience gave her a little bit of the edge, and to get this win. And I'm happy about it. And as you mentioned, I mean, we do have some unfinished business before we get to Hard Times 2, but she will have a title shot, and she deserves it. She's earned it. If from nothing else, just her experience and her level of ability in the ring. But yeah, she definitely earned it tonight, and I'm excited to see where it goes, and I'm excited to see her get that shot, because it's interesting to think about, how long she's been a part of the NWA and hasn't had that shot and hasn't had that spotlight, and so I'm anxious to see her there and what she's going to do with it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think first of all, I got to go back again to what you were saying earlier, Gary. Thoughts and prayers with Kylie Rae with her struggles. Y'all send her some love. Let her know that in the NWA fam, she has support, and the decision to go and take care of herself mentally and all that is the right decision. That's what we need, because we need a healthy Kylie Rae. Kylie Rae right now is one of my 2 or 3 favorite wrestlers in the world right now. I love her. She's so endearing. She's so talented. And I just want to throw back to a couple of weeks where she was talking with Kylie and Melina, and she articulated it better than any of us could. She made the case that all 3 of these women in this match were legitimate #1 contenders. And she said, maybe even I could be a #1 contender. So I love that she said that. And I'm glad that Melina won this, because I'm growing irritated and tired of Melina crying about the responses of Kamille retaliating after Melina has done nothing but provoke her and call her out week after week after week, declaring herself the legend, deserving of this and that. Fine. Good. So you won. You did it. That doesn't shock me that you won, but be careful what you ask for, because now guess what you got to face? You got to face what may be the greatest wrestler in the world, male or female. So be careful what you ask for.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Doc. Yeah, I mean, this is a match that needs to happen. I'll at least give you that. Like, Melina does need to take on Kamille at some point down the road. Now, like we said, Kamille has Kenzie Page in a 2 out of 3 falls match in Oak Grove, Kentucky. We're going to see that here in the next couple of weeks. But assuming they get through that and they get to Hard Times 2, Kamille versus Melina would be a match for the ages. That's one we need to see. We need to see those two go at it. And I don't blame Melina. She's going to have an ego. I mean, that's how she got to where she's at. That's part of the deal. Kamille has that very same ego, as a matter of fact, right now. So this is part of the deal. I feel like I've learned in wrestling. You got to be confident in who you are and what your abilities are. Let's talk about the Burke Rules match for a second, if we can. No closed fists, no hard exits. No, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Let's talk about, because we mentioned Kamille, and I think actually Kamille had Tootie Lynn right after this match, so I should not skip that. I apologize. Let's go back. Kamille took on Tootie Lynn, offered her an exhibition, and if Tootie Lynn were to win that matchup, she gets a shot at the Burke. Very generous. I'll throw this out there, Doc. Very generous of Kamille.
Well, I'll you say that, but it didn't seem like Kamille was too aware of that stipulation. She seemed a little perturbed when Kyle Davis announced that it had just been confirmed that if Tootie Lynn won, she would get a title shot. So I don't know that I would attribute that generosity to Kamille as much as, William Patrick Corgan, the president, because that seemed like something that came down without Camille's knowledge. Doc, was that your impression? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, this really, really bothers me. And this, again, just speaks to what we have seen for years now. I mean, since the beginning of the Lightning One era, we've seen William Patrick Corgan throw history, tradition, and process to the wind to do just silly things like, oh, wait a second, hold on now. the world's heavyweight champion doesn't have to agree to this. There's not a contract process. There's not a pecking order. And this is just exactly what I've suspected. And I think whatever you guys think, you have to see that he has it in for strictly business. William Patrick Corgan has it in for strictly business. And he finally succeeded in, I don't know how much money was involved, but he finally got in the head of Nick Aldis. But now he's set his sights on Chris Adonis, on Tom Latimer, and on Kamille. And he will not rest until he takes all those championships away from this great stable, this great woman's champion. And I find it frankly despicable. Now, am I saying that Tootie Lynn is undeserving? No, she's not undeserving, but there's a pecking order, right? There's a process that you go through. You don't just get to wake up one day. Anybody can have a good match. Could Tootie Lynn have beaten Kamille tonight? No, she could not have beaten her. It's not possible. But let's just, play devil's advocate. If Kamille is suffering from a flu and is having her worst day ever, and Tootie Lynn, who is uber talented, is on her game and comes out with a win, does that constitute a championship shot? After what we just saw with Chelsea Green and Kylie Rae and Melina, you don't think those two girls, other than Melina, have precedence above that? Come on now, I just have a problem with this, but that's how it is.
You don't think a person that beats the champion in an exhibition should get a title shot against the champion?
I don't, because this is an exhibition. This is a time, and Kamille said it herself beforehand. She needs the work. This is a time for her to experiment, to throw some rust off, to experiment a little bit, to try some things. This isn't Kamille at her best. Now, she was pretty dominant. She made her case for why she might be the greatest wrestler in the world, because Tootie Lynn, you guys have seen her for weeks. Tootie Lynn is the real deal. Tootie Lynn is going to be in that title picture. Just not today. Just not right now. There's time. There's a process. And no, I do not think that an exhibition match is a legitimate contendership scenario. I don't, because I know, just speaking with some of the people that I know in wrestling and some of the same people in an exhibition match, things are different. You're not bringing everything. You're going out there. You're dabbling. If you lose, you lose. Whatever. I'm trying some things out. I'm trying new strategies out. I'm trying some new maneuvers. This is a chance for me, with cameras rolling, with a real live opponent, to practice. I'm in the lab, as it were. So no, to answer your question, Gary, Tootie Lynn winning this match should not have constituted a contendership match. Thankfully, we're talking about maybe the greatest wrestler in the world right now. So it was, as I like to say, it was a mathematical certainty anyway. I just don't like the connivance of Conspiracy Corgan.
Connivance. That's a new one. I like that.
That's a new one.
I like that.
It's agree to disagree on that fact. I feel like if you're just in the lab and you take the L, then the least you can do is come through as at your best and defend that championship. But
no, if you're in the lab and you take the L, the person that gave you the L suddenly gets to be bumped up to number 5. Maybe she gets a shot at Chelsea Green's trophy. Maybe she gets to try on Kylie Rae for size. Maybe she gets to battle Melina for that number 1 contender spot. But you don't go just straight to the top. Come on now. This is the NWA, Gary.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when we do exhibition podcast episodes. We don't really take it that seriously. We just we're trying out some new material. I get it.
Yeah, we're doing an exhibition right now, as a matter of fact. All right. Well,
look at what Roided Caps has a very timely comment in there, because I've got the Braves and the Astros.
I knew that was. I knew you would be able to resist that one. Yeah.
Spring training is not the World Series. Roided Caps is brilliant.
I can see both sides of it. I mean, I know that's always my stance, but for me personally, I agree. I mean, after the Braves win this World Series, which they're going to, if someone beats them in spring training next year, they shouldn't be, shouldn't have a shot to get the World Series. And I know it doesn't work that way, but at the same time, I like curveballs like that. I mean, we saw Nick Aldis when he was champ in a few pretty key exhibition matches, and he came out on top on all those, but it is an interesting thing. You get an opportunity to face the champ. It's not like the title's going to change hands, but in my opinion, if you can beat them in an exhibition, you should have the chance to try to beat them in a quote unquote real match, as you're framing it up. and see if you've got the chops to do it in that setting. So that's just my take on it.
Yeah, but your thinking's your take on it's wrong, Will, because should you then be in the discussion? Yes, you should be in the discussion. I wholeheartedly agree, but you don't then get to bypass this most vibrant women's division in the world to go straight to, because in an exhibition setting you got lucky against the greatest wrestler in the world. It doesn't work that way. It should not work that way. If we really believe that the Burke is the premier title in the world, then I can't see how you can have any other opinion on this.
Just like to point out that Tom Latimer issued a tweet after the Mike Knox attack on Trevor Murdoch that said Mike Knox is a huge beast and welcome addition. We love it. And so if you're ever wondering the kind of people that Doc supports, then there you go.
Well, don't. First of all, you don't go in and analyze Tom Latimer on the basis of a tweet. Okay, you've talked to him. You know this is a complex man, and don't try to look at this as some sort of like endorsement of pushing kids away and beating people halfway to death. All right, I'm just saying, don't read too much into that.
Okay, well, so none of this actually matters because Tootie doing her best in the middle of this match and had some great offense up early, but as everyone who's stepped to Kamille up until this point, Tootie in the middle of her offense goes for a clothesline, eats a spear, and that is all it takes from the brick house. And a 1, 2, 3. Nobody can beat the brick house, at least that we've seen so far. So unbeatable, one might say.
What did you say? You said she was what?
Just unbeatable.
She's like, she is unbeatable.
Right. So,
and she is.
I will give her
is
that.
Unbeatable.
Right now, there may not be a more dominant women's wrestler than the brick house at this time. So definitely on the same page there, I think. Now we can talk about the Burke rules for a second. Mildred Burke getting some more love in the middle of this show. No close fists, no hard exits, no moves from the top rope. Lady Frost takes on Sky Blue, and two of the hottest new talents in women's wrestling. I say new talents. These ladies have been around for a little bit, but they've been working their way through the indies and stuff, and are getting a lot of love here recently on a lot of different places. You want to talk about the NWA being like a central hub for the best of the best. I mean, this is an example. Sky Blue all over AEW. Lady Frost has been over there in WWE. Lady Frost has been in Impact recently. These ladies are taking on all challenges wherever they can, whenever they can, and here they are one-on-one against each other in a weird to the modern fan set of rules. And both women look fantastic in the middle of this match, but Lady Frost especially struggles, I think, since a lot of her arsenal involves high flying, and she's also a little more aggressive, a little more roughhouse at times. She's got those she's not afraid to go a little dirty when she needs to, and but she does manage at the end here, despite all of the other limitations. She I don't know if Doc will be happy with me pointing this out, but she does manage to sneak past the referee a handful of tights with a roll up and a 1, 2, 3. So Lady Frost taking the victory over the young Sky Blue in the Mildred Burke's rules match.
I don't know that she had a handful of chunks. I think it was more or less it was a balancing act, is how I interpreted that. But I did have a couple of people tweet me, or not tweet me, but text me before and ask me about what's up with this. Like, what are the Burke rules? Like, is that something that's like rooted in history or whatever? And I guess my take on this was, being there, seeing this, trying to celebrate the Burke and the old school tradition. This was just an effort to kind of keep the match on the mat, to keep it to have a classic ground match, which is typical of the Burke style. It wasn't any, don't read too much into it. I don't see a conspiracy in this or anything like that. I'm glad it happened, actually, because this was an opportunity for Lady Frost to really showcase how multidimensional she is. We think about Lady Frost and everybody thinks about her aerial attack. You know, she's a high flyer. She does that amazing spin, twist, corkscrew, you know, off the top rope. That so signifies her. And that was she at a disadvantage against Sky Blue, one of the most talented prodigies in the world? Yes, this set her at a disadvantage. But in my mind, this gave her an opportunity, which she seized and which she proved, which she cashed in to show that, you know, Lady Frost doesn't need the ropes. If you take the ropes out of the equation, Lady Frost can still go in there and beat anybody on any given day. She is one of the most talented wrestlers in the world. In my mind, she won this match fair and square using gentlewomen's rules, ladies' rules. And yeah, I saw the trunk, you know, grabbing the trunks. To me, it looked like she was trying to maintain balance. I don't think it really had an effect one way or the other. But you know, the ref can't call what he can't see, so that's not on Lady Frost. That's on the ref. And at the end of the day, Lady Frost demonstrated why she is one of the most talked about, one of the most noteworthy, one of the most electric and exciting athletes in the world, with a key win over another one of the most electrifying women in the world. I'm talking about Sky Blue.
Yeah, one thing we haven't mentioned thus far, but just came into my memory is Pope was on commentary for this match, which was a welcome treat. And he said it best, I think, in this match, whether we agree with it or not, it's really only illegal if you get caught. And that's not, don't quote me on that. You can quote Pope on that, but
somebody's going to clip this and that's going to be like forever a thing. It's like, Will said this one time.
I'm going to jail now. So, but yeah, I mean, I do think it was interesting for me because, you know, we could sit here and debate the handful of trunks all day. At the end of the day, I mean, Lady Frost still impressed me because she was at a disadvantage. I mean, it was something that, you know, clearly I don't think it's a conspiracy or anything like that. I think they're trying to pay homage to Mildred Burke and the competitors of that era by creating like Rob said, a ground style match. But she was certainly at a disadvantage because of the way that she wrestles and the way that she competes. And so she still came out and found creative ways around that. And so, you know, despite the finish and where we land on that, I was still impressed by Lady Frost. I still think she was overall the better competitor in this match. And so good win for her.
Yeah. I love both ladies. And no, I just thought these were like the old school rules. Like Doc knows all that history and everything. I think this was just trying to give a little bit more props to Mildred Burke, just showcase. I think the idea with the NWA is like there was a lot of history and not always good between the NWA and Mildred Burke, and so I think there's an effort here by the Lightning One administration to change that, to correct that history as much as, you know, somebody now can do, and just to give proper reverence to one of the greatest. And so I think that's what's going on here. They like to utilize the opportunity to make sure that Mildred Burke becomes a regular part of the lexicon of professional wrestling. Like you know who Mildred Burke is, you know what this belt represents, that sort of thing.
Yep. Well said. Lexicon. I like that.
Yeah, well, stick around, Doc, long enough, you get some osmosis.
I want this part of the cornucopia. I want this to be in the cornucopia.
That's it. That's how I feel. Y'all give a shout out to in the chat. I mean, just pay attention to Certified Hustler. I just want to say this. Our boy, he's out there. He's always hustling. He was there, all the NWA stuff. They got a big spectacular, the Spooktacular, as a matter of fact, coming up on Saturday. The SICW does. That's the legendary promotion that used to be owned by Bruiser Brody. And those guys are working hard to make stuff happen in the independent scene on professional wrestling. So we want to give them some love. They're definitely part of the hashtag.
Promoted by
St. Louis.
Simmons. Yep, Herb Simmons, man, mainstay, been promoting for nearly half a century. You know, was a protege of the great Sam Muchnick, and they're trying their best there in St. Louis and doing a great job of keeping that St. Louis tradition alive, which is very, very much in vein with what the NWA and the Lightning One administration is attempting to do and keeping that continuity with history. Their current champion is a guy by the name of Attila Khan who looks scary. He looks scary. And I think you're going to get to see him if you go out there at the Spooktacular. And anyway, it might be worth your time if you're in the St. Louis area to check that out. In this book right here, Wrestling at the Chase, written by Ed Wheatley, he mentions that a little bit. This book was presented at the Fan Fest there at NWA 73 in St. Louis, and it's fantastic. And there's some information in there about Herb Simmons and that book. And I think if you were to tweet Certified Hustler or DM or something, he can probably tell you how you can get you a copy of that book.
I just imagine that Rob just has books like stacked all around him, because at least like 2 or 3 times an episode, he's like, oh, and then there's this book, and then there's this book. So I just imagine like right off camera, it's just stacks of books from the floor.
Yeah, that's definitely it. It's like the Dave Meltzer on the Dark Side of the Ring. If you guys haven't seen him, where it's like
that bad.
It's like outside of that little wall where the photos are organized, this is like stacks of paper. Like there's a printer constantly running.
Some VHS cassette tapes.
Ashtrays just overflowing. like a jilted journalist.
Doc Stinson is the Pablo Escobar of wrestling VHS tapes. Like it just fits that look, I feel like.
That's fitting. Yeah.
It looks like you'd roll up in like a garage where there's like a dude like all lit up in purple with like sunglasses on.
Like, surrounded by
VHS tapes.
Yeah. Hey man, what are you trying to get? What you trying to get? You trying to get Brody at the Chase right now?
Hey, you want some of that Paul Bosch? You want some of that Paul Bosch? Good.
Oh, we talking to you. We talking Houston up in here right now?
You want some Houston? Hold on now. Hold on. It's like
Houston. We got it, dude. Hey, listen.
Hey,
listen, man.
Go get me that Houston season 2 episode 5, the missing episode. Give me that.
Listen,
I got access.
Meet me up in the grocery store parking lot about 10:15. I'm gonna hook you up. I got the whole Paul Bosch library right up in here.
Tell you what, meet me on out on aisle 11, frozen vegetables. I'm gonna hook
you up. I got security cameras set up all over Herb Simmons' house. You know what I'm saying? So
and scene. Good job, guys.
Yeah, there you go.
You guys nailed that. Great.
Woo! All right, I feel good about that. Let's move on. Let's talk about Kratos, who's out with May Valentine. This is not entirely the scenario I expected him to appear in next. But there he is. He's talking about just getting the W. That's all it's about. Aaron's not with him. Blah, blah, blah. Paola enters the scene with Odinson, of course. The End is there, and they talk a little trash to Mr. Kratos, who they beat in the champions, or not the champion series, but the tag team tournament to advance to the finals. I don't know why you would want to stir this pot even more, especially with a man like Kratos, but here they are, stirring the pot a little bit more with Kratos and talking about a similar thing to like what we talked to him about in the some of the stuff that got aired on social media. Paola's got a big thing about, you are not a tag team. You don't know anything about tag team wrestling. This is a tag team. You are 2 guys that are like paired together, but you don't know what you're doing. We're the best in the business. And anyway, just interesting scenario. And ends up all the guys end up giving love to the women, say this isn't about us. This is about them right now. We'll see you later, essentially. And well, we'll see what happens. The End, are things through with the End and Stevens and Kratos? Because it doesn't feel like they are.
Doesn't seem that way. No, and you're right. Paola does seem to be very passionate about, as we talk about a lot on this show, and you guys know where I stand on it, about true tag teams versus a couple of singles guys who pair up. And my opinion on that with Kratos and Aaron Stevens has kind of flipped. You guys know that over time. I was heavily critical of that same exact thing, but they have started moving in the direction of getting on the same page and really becoming a true working together tag team. So I don't totally agree with Paola's comments about that. But I can't disagree with the fact that the End have been dominant. They have run through this tag team tournament. They've reached the finals. And I think it just rubbed them the wrong way that on an EmPowerrred Powerrr that was supposed to be celebrating the women, here's J.R. Kratos out here talking about him and Aaron Stevens, and he just needed to come out and put an end to it. No pun intended.
You got to be right. You're 100% correct, Will, on this. I think when we were first introduced to Kratos under those really curious circumstances there at UWM Primetime Live, can you imagine now sitting? I was listening to Kratos tonight talk, and I was like, man, how in the world did we just wake up one day and Kratos is like one of the most reflective athletes in the NWA? Like everything he's saying is so well thought out, and it's like this is not. Kratos is a more complex man than we have given him credit for, than I have given him credit for. And you're absolutely right. This tag team is a tag team I think is going through, you talk about the team building process of forming, storming, norming, and performing. And they're somewhere right now in the I think in the tail ends of that storming phase where they're starting to work things out. And I guarantee you right now, I just have to feel that we've not seen the last of Kratos and Aaron Stevens at a championship level. And then for him to go out and say, I don't like to pick winners, to give props to the ladies at EmPowerrr like we were doing earlier, and then to give love to the Hex. I think that's just very considerate and well thought out, very informed and educated. You're dealing with an intelligent man, and that therefore makes him a dangerous man. But then you have Paola come out and completely shut Kratos down. Like, I'm not saying Kratos was backing down, but it looked to me like Paola came out there and stole the show with the things that he had to say. So, very interesting spot in the middle of this episode, and I'm further and further intrigued by J.R. Kratos as we move on, and I've always been a fan of Paola and Odinson. So, this just the intensity that he brings. He's a fearless man, and he he wears his emotions on his sleeve. There's never a mystery about what's going on in Paola's mind.
Yeah, that's true. And just a terrifying man, just to really establish that. Front row, you mentioned in the chat there, it was terrifying at Bloodsport this weekend. Yeah, for those that don't know, Kratos beat by TKO, beat Calvin Tankman of MLW this weekend at Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. So very good stuff. Kratos is a vicious, vicious opponent. As angry and mean as Paola is, I just those two.
I saw the fear in your eyes, Gary, when you were talking with him in St. Louis, when Paola basically manhandled you, man. He basically punked you out. Like,
I'm not gonna say my boxers were all brown, but there was a hit. There was.
I was like, that was the day you brought a couple pairs of pants, right? I remember that.
Yeah, there was.
I'm gonna tell you.
There was a shade of tan.
hey, in Oak Grove, Kentucky, man, Gary's bag was like just full of extra pair of underwear. He had a whole separate.
Listen, we know the NWA. You want to talk about the NWA? They got some big boys in the NWA. I guarantee you that's why a guy like freaking Mike Knox is showing up there, 6'7", 300 something pounds self. I mean, the NWA is full of big men. That's what they do. And the people that aren't that big are vicious in a whole other way, like take a guy like a Colby Carrino or something like that. So you're talking about the wrestlers over in the NWA. They man, I don't. It's tough. It's a lot to handle. Like when you're walking around trying to see if you could ask somebody to talk to them for a second. But whatever. I got no shame that my boxers are khaki boxers now.
It doesn't help.
Props to you.
Gary's only 4'2", so when he comes up and he's looking at Paola's navel, it's
thought his belly button was gonna swallow me up.
Oh, God. Hey, listen. So and we're talking about tag team wrestling, but I will throw this in there. As I'm watching this exchange, I would not mind seeing a singles match between Paola and J.R. Kratos. That's something that if that ever came up on the radar, I would be here for it. So just throwing that out into the universe.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't even think I really covered the fact that ended with Paola just saying he was here to hurt everyone. So crowd cheered, I guess, because they wanted to be hurt. I don't know.
Yeah.
Pharaoh's just like
Seemed very threatening, but
he does not seem like a man to take lightly when he says these things. Anyway, all right, let's talk about the women's tag team titles were on the line in this event from way back, building up through Powerrr. Taryn Terrell's girls, Paola Blaze and Jennacide have worked their way into title contention. Jennacide getting a big win over Allison Kay. Dubious circumstances, but did get the win. And AK would blame Lady Frost's interference in that. I'm just saying. And we love our girl Jennacide. And I'm not saying she couldn't beat AK on her own. I'm just saying in this certain scenario, there was some weirdness. But in either case, it earned them a title shot against the Hex. And AK and Marty Bell bring out with them Kinsey Page, which I thought was interesting to offset Taryn Terrell. And it ends up paying off because Kinsey takes out Taryn at one point, gives her the old bye. And then Hex marks the spot on Paola Blaze, and the Hex get the 1, 2, 3 and retain the tag team titles. I'll throw this in here too, guys, before I throw to you, and Will, I'll throw to you. But Kinsey's got a 2 out of 3 falls match with Kamille coming up for the women's championship. Kinsey Page just on fire. And also, if you don't know, the Hex are taking on the Allure here coming up in Ring of Honor? Yeah, the Ring of Honor. I think that's tomorrow. They're defending the NWA Women's Tag Team Championships, and they'll also be on the Oak Grove, Kentucky show defending the Women's Tag Team title. So these are, you talking about fighting champions.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. The Hex on fire.
And that's my point. I think the thing that we don't want to get confused in this whole situation is that somehow interpreting that the Hex didn't want to defend the titles, and that's why they just didn't want to have to do 2 singles matches to give somebody a title shot. That I think Rob and I have talked about that at length in the past, how we might be on opposing views of that, but it was just an interesting situation. But nonetheless, we end up at this match, and it was a great tag match. In the end, it proved why the Hex are champions. Number one, because they're smart. They knew if we're going to go out there, there's going to be 3 women in the other corner. If you count Taryn Terrell, we got to even the odds a little bit just in case. And so they went and found the best person in the locker room to fill that spot in Kinsey Page. Kinsey Page is dynamic, an up-and-comer who has been able to hold her own in every match that she's been in, has established herself as really kind of a big surprise in the NWA. She's had title shots. She's been in big matches. She's had big wins. She's had surprise wins. So to grab her backstage and to have her in their corner, I think was brilliant. So it showed how smart they are. But then they continued all through the match to show how well they work together. Marty Bell, Allison Kay, they know each other. They're best friends. They can anticipate each other's moves, and that's what it really takes to be a great tag team. So in the end, they retained the titles because they were the superior tag team.
Yeah, I don't know if it was so much brilliance as it was manipulation. I don't know. I emailed Joe Galley, Gerrymander Joe. He hasn't returned my emails. He never does. So I don't know why I email him in the first place.
It goes to spam.
Goes to spam, probably, yeah. I emailed him to see if Kinsey Page has her managerial license, because last I checked, Taryn Terrell had a legitimate reason to be out there. I don't know what legitimacy Kinsey Page adds to this other than to be a distraction. And to me, I don't think the Hex needs distractions. I think they're the reigning world's tag team champions. They don't need that. And frankly, I thought it was a shortcut. I thought it was an underhanded technique. And that's just how it goes with a lot of people in the NWA right now. Jennacide, and we can debate on how this match came about, but at the end of the day, you got Jennacide and Paola Blaze, 2 really exciting up and coming stars with their manager providing them with insight and wisdom and guidance. And I do know that Taryn Terrell is licensed in the state of Missouri to manage. So I'm just curious about this decision to bring Kinsey Page out. It seems to me a little bit of a tomfoolery, if I have to be honest.
Well, I'd say it was worth it to get the use of the word tomfoolery in an episode. So I feel good about it. Let's talk about
That's Doc's in-ring name when he actually wrestles. Tom Foolery.
I love it. Anyway, all right, let's talk about the main event of the evening. Mickie James and Kiera Hogan taking on each other in a one-on-one contest. This one's been building. Kiera Hogan obviously wanted to be included. There's been on and off throughout this whole season of power between the two, and finally coming to a head here. Mickie James grants the contest, and I guess we should say first off, congratulations, Mickie James, who is the Impact Women's Champion. So there's that aspect of it. So Kiera Hogan, all kinds of opportunity here. Kiera Hogan recently also signed with AEW, still fulfilling her contract here with the NWA as well. And this is what we talk about. I mean, just think about that for a second. You got on NWA in the main event of Empowered Power, you have AEW, now AEW's Kiera Hogan, and she's challenging Mickie James, who is the current Impact Women's Champion. This is good stuff. This is on an NWA show. This is why NWA is the meta promotion, is exactly this kind of stuff. That where else are you going to get this stuff? This is good. Everybody who's anybody's passing through the National Wrestling Alliance. That's what we're always trying to say, and that's what I'm trying to say right now, I think. But anyway, this match is just fantastic. Good to see these two ladies lock up and really give it their all. And you could tell Kiera Hogan was giving it her all, because Kiera Hogan has watched Mickie James since she was a young girl. And this was her idol. This was her icon. This is the woman she wanted to be. And so you could tell she had something to prove here. It felt like if she could beat Mickie James, she knew she had peaked. Like this is her point. But unfortunately for her, not quite there. Mickie James ends up, and I will give her this: that Kiera Hogan was doing fantastic. Kiera Hogan is an amazing athlete, but tries to get a little showy with Mickie James and mimic Mickie James at one point during the match, and that's just what you don't do when you're dealing with the legendary women's wrestler Mickie James. I was going to say like the 10-time, I think, Impact Women's Champion, multi-time WWE Women's Champion. Like this is, you don't mimic, you don't play, you don't goof off, and that is that's a young person's game, and it did not work in Kiera's favor. Mickie James able to defeat Kiera Hogan here with the 1-2-3, and I don't think there's going to be any regrets coming out of this. Kiera did hang with Mickie James, so she should be proud about that, but she's still got a little bit to learn, I would say, right, Rob?
Yeah, you got to respect your elders in the one true sport, the sport of professional wrestling. There's no doubt that Mickie James is one of the all-time greats. I mean, she is up there with a Mildred Burke. When when a couple of 100 years from now passes, then they look back on this era, they're going to, Mickie James is going to be one of those names that rises to the top as in the argument for being one of the greatest, maybe the greatest of all time. Being a knockouts champion again, I think that's sweet. It's sweet for me because it's good to know that there's still someone worthwhile, in the Aldis family. And I've always kind of secretly known that she was the senior partner anyway. So good to know that they still have a trophy to show off and to demonstrate out there. So, but Kiera Hogan's a great talent. It's just, we've talked with her. We got to spend some time with her in St. Louis, and she went on and on about how much she revered Mickie James and how she really wanted this opportunity. Again, like we said earlier, be careful what you ask for. It's not, it might sound romantic and pie in the sky and all that when you describe it. When it's actually happening and you're in the ring and you look across the ring, there's Mickie James. It's a different story, right? And Mickie James showed us tonight against a very, very competitive Kiera Hogan, a very talented Kiera Hogan. The sky's the limit for her. But Mickie James showed us why she is the one, Aldis frankly, that matters.
I don't know about all that, but a lot of the other stuff you said was spot on. I think, definitely emotions running high in this match for Kiera Hogan. If you saw earlier today on Instagram, she posted a picture of her and Mickie, and she must have been 14, 15 years old when she first, met Mickie James and got into wrestling and met her. And that's just a cool thing to be in the ring like that with a legend, somebody who's your mentor, an idol to you. So I think emotions were running high for Kiera for sure, and probably for Mickie as well, because she's got a lot of respect for Kiera and has taken a lot of time to pour into her and help her grow. But at the end of the day, when the bell rings, it's woman versus woman. And in this match, it was really good back and forth, but it's that experience and that level of, there is something when you're as accomplished as Mickie James is, and you're in the ring with a younger competitor and they are clearly trying to mock or mimic you. That's just a sign of disrespect. And I think she took it that way, and it gave her that little bit of fuel there at the end to put Kiera away. And like you said, not taking anything away from Kiera. She should be proud of herself. I know, like you said, after talking to her, this match was a big deal to her, meant so much to her to be able to do this in an NWA ring like that. And that's just the kind of stuff you get in the NWA. And it's one of the cool things, and definitely worthy of being a main event of tonight's EmPowerrred version of Power.
Well said, Will. And that wraps up the EmPowerrr part of the show. So we'll just take a few minutes. Let's jump in here with you guys. What you want to talk about, anything on your mind. I know we got a late start, so I want to give you a little love to our loyal #NWA fam who are hanging out here in the chat. We're so grateful for you guys, and thank you for being here. So a lot to look forward to. EmPowerrr is up, and a big show, and I think a fantastic show, one of the better episodes of NWA Powerrr probably. And so hope there's more of these. And coming up over the next 2 weeks, from my understanding, you'll get that show from Oak Grove, Kentucky, By Any Means Necessary, which will play out, which featured lots of great matches. Most notably, one of the big ones was the Crimson versus Jax Dane matchup that took place in a steel cage. No spoilers here, folks. We're just going to talk about them for just a second. But Crimson and Jax Dane in a steel cage, I promise you, it is brutal. Kamille versus Kinsey Page, 2 out of 3 falls. This is for the women's championship. And Will, if you want to jump in with any of this, just feel free. And Mims took on Scion. Will, I gotta say, this one was a surprise.
Don't miss it. Don't miss this one, guys. Don't miss this one. No spoilers. Don't miss it.
Yeah, this was one of the surprises for me. I hate to say surprise, like I don't think either of these guys is good.
It wasn't. I mean, it was surprising in the sense that we knew it was going to be good. We didn't know it was going to be great. And so that's what you have to look forward to. So do not miss this one.
Yeah, Mims and Scion, fantastic matchup. And of course,
don't miss it. Don't miss it. It was one of the matches.
Thanks, Rob, for your valuable insight.
And also living up to expectations was the match you didn't know you needed, but you sure are glad you got it. Pope and Colby Carino. It was also fantastic. Tim Storm is in action for sure in a very interesting match, and it's going to be really good. Jedias and James Mitchell. Jedias with James Mitchell took on Sal Renaro and Danny Deals. That's coming up. The Hex. This has also been changed, and I guess just to maintain integrity, I will not say who the replacement for Kylie Rae is, but Tootie Lynn is there, and they take on the Hex, which is exciting. Velvet Sky is there. She's on commentary. And, of course, you've also got that other huge main event, the Nick Aldis, Trevor Murdoch team taking on Strictly Business, Tom Latimer and Chris Adonis, and another fantastic match. So, guys, this is going to be a hot show over the next 2 weeks. If you're subscribed to the NWA on Fight TV, you're going to be able to watch this, and it's well worth it. Split in half, right? So in the first half, you've got the first part of the show. And I will say, by the end of that first part of the show, I already was, this is not bragging, I just want to set the table for you, that I happened to be able to be in the control room and see this match happening. And everybody already at the end of the first half of the show was just like, my heart can't take this. This is a blast. This is a lot of fun. Everybody was super stoked to be at this show. Everybody had a good time participating in this show, and everybody watching this show enjoyed it. So do not miss it. If you haven't already subscribed to NWA on Fight TV, by any means necessary, it's going to be worth your time. I promise you it is. This is a thing the NWA hopes to do more of. These outside of the normal realm of NWA Powerrr, just shows all over the country. And if they're like this, more power to them, because they're just like little mini pay-per-views all over the place. And they contain huge hot matchups. It's just fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, this is the NWA, baby. And Valor Hall was on fire. And I think you guys are going to be really pleased with this. Again, just to piggyback on Gary there, not literally, but just on what he said. There really wasn't a lull in the action, man. I mean, this card was intense from start to bottom. And I didn't mean to jump in front of you there, Will, but you guys are in for a treat, and that's just what the NWA brings you. This is the National Wrestling Alliance. This is authenticity. This is the premier league in professional wrestling, and they're about to show you why.
Yeah, I mean, everything that you guys said and more for me, it's hard for me because I want to just talk about it now because we've already experienced it. So definitely tune in the next couple of weeks and tune into this post show, because we are chomping at the bit to talk about these matches, the implications that come from these matches, and just the caliber of wrestling you're going to get over the next 2 weeks is top notch.
Go ahead, Gary.
Well, I was just going to say, I can't say for sure, but I feel like Mims and Scion is going to end up being the main event of night one.
Should be.
Yeah, and it should be, because, guys, Mims and Scion is fantastic. It's a brand new Mims walking out there who is a freaking superstar, and Scion has never looked so eerily superior as a professional wrestler that he does there. These two guys go at it, and I'm not talking about like just some kind of crazy high flying like flippy dippy move kind of thing, or some kind of hardcore brawl for all. I'm just saying a professional wrestling match in the middle.
We're talking about a tactician.
Yep.
I gotta say that I don't like the guy. I don't like the guy. I dislike him, in fact, but he is a tactician.
Yeah, these two guys tear it up between the ropes. This is a wrestling match these two guys have, and it's you gotta catch it. It was one of my favorite moments of the night. I can't say enough about it.
I don't know at what point they end the stream there or they end the recording, but I did want to point out, just looking in my personal DMs here and all that. Because at some point, I'm sure the conversation is going to circle back around to Mike Knox and the brutal attack on Trevor Murdoch there at the end, and the rush to the ring. We saw, I know in the videos on social media, we see practically everybody out there. Tim Storm, you got the crew. I saw Alex Taylor out there. You talked about Tyreek and this and that. You know who I didn't see out there, Gary?
Who?
I didn't see Nick Aldis out there. I didn't see Nick.
Well, Doc, you know that Nick was with his old son there at the venue.
So Nick had time to go in there and participate in the match. And when you have a friend in peril, I didn't see Nick out there. I'm not trying to dig too deep in that. I'm just saying it's point. I know if it was one of y'all, if it was Will, at least, the Doc would have been there. The Doc would have, if it was certified hustler, the Doc would have been there. If it was front row, Doc's going to be there. You know what I mean?
All
right. Yeah. I mean, you're the guy who hugged Trevor Murdoch's neck and said, "Congratulations, champ." But I didn't see you stepping in front of Mike Knox.
Yeah, but I'm 175 pounds soaking wet too.
And you were soaking wet at that point.
I was.
We don't know why. Nobody knows why. We turned around and Doc was just soaking wet. Like, I don't know. That's how it is at shows with Doc. But
yeah, I've got this gland issue. It's like if I drink too much vodka, it just
Roy Caps, we're happy you're enjoying NWA on Fight TV, and we're happy you show up in the chat room. Thank you so much. Yes. Certified also. Thank you. Rod's happy you're taking a step back from all this, Doc. He says you were his hype man for such a long time and bastard his laudatory words, and then he stabbed you in the back. I love that. I love that comment.
Where's my
say what? Say that
Doc,
again.
hand me a dictionary from your floor.
Rod Gibson in the chat. He says, I fully support Doc taking a step back from Aldis. He played his hype man for a long time. Aldis basked in his laudatory words, and then he stabbed him in the back.
That's right. That's right. And it's not that I was playing anybody's hype man. I mean, I respect winners. That's why I respect Mickie James. She's the senior partner in that family, obviously. I respect Trevor Murdoch for having the championship. Nick Aldis, when he was when he was at the top of his game, man, he is. Nick Aldis is. I'm not taking anything away from Nick Aldis. I've said that on here. I said it to his face. I won't disrespect your reign. You are the greatest world champion of the modern era. You just got soft. I don't have time for softness.
I mean, I will say we got to interact with a lot of the competitors. They had a big fan fest right before the show, and they were all out in the lobby meeting fans. And one thing I never saw Rob go speak to Nick Aldis. I could have missed it. I don't know. I could have been preoccupied, but it seemed like you were maybe talking to everyone else. And
I was talking to the Hex. I was talking to the Hex. I was talking to Chris Adonis. I was talking to the people that had gold. You know what I mean? I was talking to Trevor. You saw me with Trevor. You remember we took the box over to Trevor's son? I talked to Trevor. You know why? Because they're winners. They've got championship belts. And that's what I'm about.
All right. Well,
the Gary sigh at the end of the show.
Just,
okay.
I feel like I generally try to be such a nice guy, and that it's just.
And I want to say, Gary, that I also would have roided Caps back. I'd have roided Caps back too.
I believe you. I mean, I would say that Doc's legitimately pretty reliable, but if I were any of you in the chat, I wouldn't count on it. Naughty McPawdy says, I have enjoyed the reviews Jamie Stanley has been doing after the Powerrr shows. Posted on the NWA Instagram. Highly entertaining. Maybe NWA should give him some more matches. I agree. Yeah, Will's with you. I love Jamie Stanley's stuff. He's an arrogant son of a gun, but he does some good stuff. So this, yeah, I'm on board, Naughty. Jamie Stanley, I think from my understanding, you'll probably, he seems to be forcing his way into the NWA, which is what you got to do sometimes. I'm sure you'll be seeing more and more from Jamie Stanley. I have no doubt.
I want to see more of him. My only hope is that with his incredible recaps, he doesn't come after our job here. So hopefully we're safe.
That'd be come after y'all's job.
Well, he's at least already insulted me. I know that for sure. I'm Gary Neckbeard Horne. And
yeah.
By the way, I'm lifting my beard. No beard on my neck. No beard on my neck.
It's a common mistake.
It's all right here. But anyway,
he does got some hair. He got some doggone hairy nipples, though. I seen Gary. Joker, man. That Joker got like 2 palm trees right here.
Jamie Stanley?
No, you. I didn't share an Airbnb with Jamie Stanley. the last 2 days.
I didn't know. I don't know what you do after the show. Sometimes you just like
we don't see
disappear. Yeah, you just like disappear for like 3 or 4 hours.
I'll hang out with Certified Hustler. I go hang out, roll around, go downtown, go hit the club, whatever.
That checks out.
All right. Well, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up for this evening. This has been fun, hanging out with the NWA fam. We'll be back on track, I think, more next week when hopefully things chill out. Things get a little bit smoother as far as scheduling goes. And we're on the build for December 4th and Hard Times 2. I mean, that's it. From here, that's where we're headed. So
back
pay
in
attention.
the A.
Yeah.
ATL, baby.
Yeah. Back to the GPB studios. That's where we want to be. Hometown. And
home of the Atlanta Braves, who at this point are leading the Houston Astros in Game 1 of the World Series 2-0.
There you go.
Right. I got Jabu over there, man. We got him a full glass of rum, and I feel good about the series. I feel really good about it.
Same.
It's good. I'm excited. I hope that you get to experience that victory again too, Doc. So be good.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Gary Bear. Oh, shoot, right. Did I say? I wasn't supposed to say. I used your shoot name.
Certified naughty Ron, roided, Greco, Jay Greco. Where's the live episodes? This is live right now, baby. What you talking about? John Gott, front row. We love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for everybody who showed up. We appreciate everybody in the hashtag NWA fam. This has been a lot of fun. We enjoy hanging out with you. Sorry we were a little late today. And we'll be here next week, probably with special guests. Everybody's getting ready. Hard Times 2 coming up on December 4th. It's time to get excited about that. As soon as those tickets sold out, I jumped ahead. As soon as those tickets go on sale, I want to see them sold out. There's a lot coming up. Let me tell you something. If you missed Oak Grove, Kentucky, don't worry. You've got another chance. At ATL, Hard Times 2 is just one part of all of the the breaking news items that are going to happen coming up for the National Wrestling Alliance. So you want to show up to Atlanta. There's going to be all kinds of stuff, new stuff, exciting stuff that you'll want to experience. So when those tickets go on sale, stay tuned. Stay tuned to the social medias. You're going to want to be a part of it. Let's sell those shows out, fellas and ladies. Let's sell out.
Let's have a big party. Let's all of us come together and have a big party. All you guys in the chat, come hang out with us. IRL in real life. And
let's do it.
Let's watch some wrestling together.
Get ready. It's going to be the weekend of December 4th. I'm just say it. I mean, what's the December 4th? That's the Saturday. So it's going to be like 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. I'll tell you right now, I don't care. Fire me, NWA. They won't.
In the words of the great
watch this.
In the words of the great Joseph Hudson, we're having a party.
We're having a party.
We're having a party.
We're having a party.
Doc's buying. It's on Doc.
Can we just take a quick second to say
I'm
that
buying,
Joseph
but I'm turning
Hudson's,
the receipt in the wheel.
I do want to take a second to say that Joseph Hudson's brother and some of Joseph Hudson's family was in attendance at the Oak Grove, Kentucky show. It was an honor to meet them, and anyway, just a big experience for myself, I know, and for Doc. So, and Will, it's just a cool moment that they were there. But anyway, yes, to quote Joseph Hudson, Josephus, we're having a party. And that is going to take place on that whole weekend, December 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, all of that. Break it here. So get ready. GPB Studios, special place, home of the NWA. It's where Powerrr started. And we're going back. And it's going to be huge. I promise you. There's going to be big stuff happening that weekend. So you don't want to miss it. So wherever you're at, go ahead and make your plans. That's where you're at on that weekend in December. So let's get there. All right. Will, Rob, anything else you want to add?
No, much love, everyone.
Much love. Just keep on, engaging the NWA on social media. Make sure you, like, subscribe, give us a holler, at our socials. You see it down there on the things we do interact. That's the one thing that I think separates the NWA from everybody else. We do consider this a family. We will talk with you. We'll discuss with you. We'll debate with you. We'll argue with you. But at the end of the day, we're all family.
I'm telling you right now, if you got some people that are on the fence, you're thinking about it, you're not sure, you're not subscribed yourselves, and you're seeing this NWA on Fight TV coming up right now, as if EmPowerrrd's not enough. EmPowerrrd should be enough to sell you. but by any means necessary is going to be the time to bring them in too. Bring them in next couple of weeks. By any means necessary, I promise we'll sell them right now. New NWA fans, new hashtag NWA fan with by any means necessary. So get them in the door. We'll take care of the rest. The NWA is coming on strong going into 2022. So get ready. It's going to be huge. Thank you guys for showing up.
Yeah.
We love
Hey, one more thing. Hey, Nonny McPony, don't worry. You don't have to get me. It's no problem. I'll get you, and then we're going to give the receipt to Will.
Oh, my God. All right. Thanks, everybody, for being here. And until next time, you guys, you enjoy your gravy cake.